Hi, my name is Tommy Skaue, and I'm a senior solution architect here working at Microsoft Dynamics 365 FastTrack. In this Success by Design training section, we will be looking at the Go Live Readiness workshop and review. By now, you've been presented with a lot of information about various workshops. You should be familiar with the first mandatory one, the Solution Blueprint Review, or SBR for short. The SBR would have triggered additional implementation reviews, all of which you by now would know what kind of topics they cover. Here we will be discussing the second mandatory review, which is part of the Success by Design, the Go Live Readiness Review. So what is the Go Live Readiness? Well, here we will spend some time providing an overview of what we mean with Go Live Readiness, what the expected activities are, and why we should complete them. As already mentioned, this workshop is one of the mandatory workshops to complete as part of the Success by Design. At the end of this workshop, we expect to have a good sense of the project readiness for the planned go live. Again, we do expect the partner to deliver this workshop with the customer. And after completing it, you can have a follow-up with Microsoft FastTrack for an additional review. With every go live, there are a lot of expectations. Customer expects a smooth transition from one system to another, a cutover that goes according to the plans and with as few surprises as possible, obviously. Partners expect their tools and processes to work like they've done in other projects as well. So this should not be any different. The only way to achieve this is planning, preparing, and rehearsal. So after you spend some time working on the implementation, going over all of the requirements, building the solution in accordance with the requirements of the customers, you eventually come to the place where you prepare for the go live. Now keep in mind that we want to review the remaining project schedule leading up to the go live. We say readiness journey starts from day one. And by this, we want to stress that you should think about all of the methods, the techniques, all the procedures, which will have to be understood and verified and tested a long time before you arrive at this prepare phase. When you practice these procedures enough times, you will understand them well and have confidence in how they work. If anything out of the ordinary happens, you will have a better chance of finding workarounds if you ever need it. To think earlier of who from the partner and the customer will be responsible and be part of the organizational change management. You can assess this also as part of the user acceptance testing if you want to. It is also smart to consider having some stabilization period before and after the go live. Everything you build in terms of go live activities, delivery procedures should be well documented so that as little as possible is left to reside only in the minds of a limited set of project members. If there is anything that depends on a single individual, you run the risk of delays. Something unforeseen happens and this individual is not there to deliver. Finally, with Success by Design, we will have a set of questions you can run by the customer as part of the Go Live Readiness Workshop and Review. Hopefully, this will help flush out any blind spots and help the entire project be reassured that things are indeed ready. Assuming this readiness is there, you should be in a good place to practice the cutover as a final exercise before the actual Go Live. Now remember, the goal of the Go Live Readiness Workshop is to ensure that the necessary activities have been done and signed off to ensure a successful go live. As mentioned, this workshop is run between the customer and the partner. It should be possible to get through this within a couple of hours, for example, through an online Teams meeting. The overall objective is to go through and verify as a bare minimum, the best practices are followed and there are sign-offs by the customer on all the activities expected. so they are completed before the go live. We want to verify both business acceptance and performance sign-off. And you also want to verify that the mock go-live plan is there prior to the go-live. You will want to ensure that there are no blind spots and review the alignment with what was discovered during the solution blueprint review. The activity include both customer and partners, so one would want to have the key stakeholders in there to participate in all of this. You want to have the solution architects, the project managers, the functional and the technical leads to ensure there is sufficient coverage. At this stage, the team should be ready with the status of where there is reasonable confidence that the go-live is indeed achievable. You would expect design and build to be completed, meaning code complete, or at least in a state that can be held stable during the stabilization phase. UAT should be mostly completed, like there is no critical no-go gaps left. The team will populate and complete the go-live readiness information and have mitigations discussed and planned where needed. At the end of this workshop, there might be identified some risks considered more severe, potentially becoming an impediment to the planned go-live. If that go-live needs to be replanned and further detailed, then that can just be a good thing. It might be better to mitigate the risks and secure a successful go-live compared to trying to recover from an unsuccessful go-live. As you might have experienced, you only get this one chance to make the good first impression. And if you're forced to do a go-live where there are gaps and risks, you might end up having to extinguish fires and escalations later. And this can be in a really hard situation to be in. I mean, if you want to turn those users into having a positive experience with this new system. Now you know what the workshop is about and the purpose of it. How can you prepare? Make yourself familiar with the topics of the workshop, and the more the go-live readiness workshop the more of them you complete, the more this will become a natural thing for you. But do prepare the project team itself so that the time spent there is spent efficiently and wisely. Put the workshop in your plans, in the project timeline, and ensure that the customer is also ready. Like already stated, it is expected that both customer and partners is in on this. This is even if the customer wants to fully outsource this. At the end of the day, it's the customer who will be using the solution and want to have the satisfaction of going live without any obstacles. Go through and collect all answers. Record and classify the findings, including the positive assertions and the potential issues and risks. You will build up a history of records, proving a multitude of successful go-lives, and any findings that requires mitigations, you'll have a bigger chance of avoiding this the next time around. For any activities that needs to be mitigated, ensure that the correct responsibilities are set and that there is a good timeline. The sum of additional activities can potentially determine that the go-live milestone date is no longer feasible. Again, it is better to drive that knowledge and confidence to the team. This workshop should be conducted prior to deploying or preparing the production environment for the go-live. So on testing and acceptance, we would like to understand what has been done in terms of testing. What has been the effort to ensure that the requirements are met? This is not just limited to actual functionality, but also thinking about performance and scale. It is also expected that the customer is involved and sign-offs as part of the process. So testing includes not only users testing the solutions and accepting the results, but also testing any peripheral solution like handhelds, printing, scanning, or any other external solution connected, and any integrations you've developed. And testing should include performance as well. I believe this is even more critical where there might be a significant peak volume or where there are opportunities for system contention. This testing should also help you to plan how the business should operate inside and outside regular business hours, and when it is possible to sustain any maintenance windows. None of this should come as a surprise before the go live. So where should the testing be conducted, you may ask? While the testing can be conducted in a sandbox, you may need to conduct extended testing in additional environments. I mean, for F&O, there are dedicated sandboxes for performance testing. The testing exercise should be done to analyze if you are efficiently and correctly utilizing the available compute capacity you have as part of the subscription. It can be your process that is running slow, not because of lack of capacity, but how the solution is configured or even customized. These things are best identified and worked out as much as possible before the go live. Now, if you determine that the customer isn't ready, but the customer still insists on going forward with the go live, you should in fact let them know that they aren't ready for the go live. Instead, you should schedule additional follow-ups and ensure that any required activities are completed. On data management and migration, we will ask, how is data migrated and seeded into the system? Do you have a mature and accepted initial configuration, sometimes also referred to as a golden? How much of the data will be migrated into the production through import processes? And what kind of configuration do you plan to do manually? Now, perhaps you have a mix of all of these, and that's fine. The important thing is having all of these validated and tested, so there is an understood, an optimized, and rehearsed plan. Knowing how to move data, knowing how to move data between the environment in a correct and a performant way can be key for a successful and efficient and a safe cutover. It should be part of your go live planning to have these steps all documented in terms of order and the expected execution time, or at least approximately. If there are any opportunities to automate anything or shorten the cutover by choosing a better strategy, this would be adding to the go live success. It goes without saying that not planning this or testing this before the go live is not a feasible solution. But if the plan is to skip acceptance testing and configure everything manually in production, well, we would normally question such a plan. What about user readiness and support? Now, we do expect by now the customer to be trained and prepared on the new system, at least on the critical processes, the critical business processes, and that there is a plan to help and support other users through a planned change management. There needs to be a plan of what to do if something unforeseen happens, who to contact, how to approach any first line support on the customer side, and perhaps escalate to the partner side, and then furthermore, perhaps escalate to Microsoft support for further assistance. Is there, for example, any tooling made available to track incidents and their status? And how is this aligned with the customer and partner organization? What are the service level agreements, the SLAs? And is there any need for Microsoft involvement? And what is the best way to approach Microsoft? It is not that unusual to be a period of hypercare support as part of the go live to ensure that the whole period is as smooth as possible. Now, what are the plans if there are actual issues discovered that needs to be resolved urgently? Is there a break glass agreement to promote urgent updates and fixes if no workaround can be found? Like mentioned, it is not that uncommon that there is a period of stabilization after the go live. This avoids any uncertainty among the users if they notice any unexpected. They might think the system changed underneath them, and that is why things do behave in a strange way. I mean, at least compared to how they were trained. Being this is a cloud solution, eventually there will be continuous updates applied, at least by Microsoft. So the users will have to be prepared that Microsoft keeps innovating on the solution, and there might be changes to it over time. On the solution operational readiness. While doing the implementation, you made sure to define a good process for delivering customizations. Perhaps already by the time you prepare for the go live, there are delivery processes that covers ongoing development, and you have perhaps another pipeline or pathway for any urgent fixes. This is still relevant after the go live. During the hypercare, you may need to urgently copy production data over to a sandbox for investigation and debugging, while without blocking the regular lifecycle management for any other planned updates. If the implementation has integrations in play, this adds extra complexity to the go live and the cutover exercise. How these integrations are monitored and what to do if there is an outage or errors should be pre-planned. While Microsoft do monitor the cloud solution, in general, it would be smart to plan own monitoring and have alerting in place. Make sure the right responsible parties are notified if something needs urgent attention. After the successful go live and the dust settles, you may still have some remaining items that was pushed to a later stage. These could be remnants discovered while preparing for the go live, perhaps during the implementation workshops, things decided to wait until later. You may have gone through this process many times over. Perhaps you've delivered F&O or C within the last couple of years. If so, you had to provide some answers to a series of go live readiness questions. On all of the F&O implementations, you had to go this process before you could even continue. Now, hopefully you took the opportunity to provide honest answers, allowing FastTrack to both provide some guidance and recommendations, but also to assess the readiness for the go live. It's a good exercise for go lives to have these set of checks in preparation for the go live. Now, the workshop itself might not be completed right away, depending on the findings, and that's okay. However, when it is completed, the result should be shared with Microsoft FastTrack by the partner. The partner will share risks and issues and any planned actions to mitigate, along with information on its completeness. Microsoft FastTrack will review the findings along with the partner and provide their feedback. This might be additional findings and anything that we will want to collaborate with the partner to help ensure success by design. The success by design review knowledge base will over time change to reflect the latest of our recommendations. Once items are closed and the Go Live Readiness Workshop is completed, and we with this expect we will expect the team to have the right level of confidence to proceed with their planned go live. Considering the FastTrack engagement, we want to make sure there is alignment and understanding in how cloud services operate, and that these services do take continuous updates. If the customer tries to prevent updates or somehow put their solution on a version that has exceeded the end of life, they risk not getting critical updates and improvements to the solution. Support also expects customer to take updates as they come. It is expected that the customer knows how to act if there are issues with the solution, either related to or unrelated to updates. This could be an outage of some sort or could be also some sort of regression. And we publish material online for what changes we plan. If it is a deprecation of some feature replaced by something else, or we are releasing some net new feature. The roadmap should be an inspiration for the customer to see how they can utilize the innovation that Microsoft delivers as part of their Power Platform and the Dynamics 365 platform. Finally, we always appreciate good customer success stories, and we want to invite all customers who wants to become references to do so. I suspect that this is no different from what partners also want. With the closing of the FastTrack engagement, Microsoft FastTrack will also disengage from the project, and the implementation will be considered to be in the operate phase. We expect to see usage of the solution pick up after the planned go live and cutover. And by that time, we would think that you've succeeded, and we will be able to congratulate you with succeeding by design.